What's up, world? What's up, Zion? It's Prince Easy coming at you again. And well, as usual, I do have a couple slides in this here Friday that I want to share with you. All right. So yeah, let's get to them. Right. Of course, fair use disclaimer for all the contents that are gonna be shared here in a couple minutes. So this situation, well, it is a real situation. Right? It is a real situation, and it's not the only one. I'm going to show you another example. Why is it a real situation? How did it come to this? Well, it depends on the partition of Africa was not designed in a way or under consideration that all of these partitions would become independent entities, right? So the maps and how they are drawn and how other administrative bodies, right? Because that's what they were, right? Administrative bodies, right? That's what they were, right? Tiny pieces of land that they own, right? Not sovereign nations, right? So these problems are bound to happen because during the partition of Africa, right? Let me show you this. We have a map right here, right? Look at this disaster. I saw countries like Niger, Mali, Chad, right, Central African Republic, Congo, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Botswana, all of these entities, South Sudan, right? We have Uganda, we have Congo, Brazzaville, not the democratic, right? So all of these are left with very little access when it comes to their sea, right, to the sea, right? Excluding Congo, Brazzaville over there, right? It has a thing over there, right? But most of these countries here, what we call countries right now, right? What we call countries right now. And this was the dilemma of our forefathers, right? That these countries were literally, they are repurposed, right? It was like a refurbished building, right? It was intended for one purpose and then it took up another purpose as time went on, and that's exactly what happened to these things that we call countries, right? So they had a dilemma. A bigger problem would occur, and I'm glad that they didn't even take that route, if there would be a recommendation, a strong recommendation supported by many people to do the redrawing of Africa, right? Redrawing of the border and the maps, right? That would literally tear Africa apart, right? So they had to keep it the way it is. And I think that was wise, right? Even now, terrible idea, right? Terrible idea. What then becomes the solution, right? Keep the so-called countries or administrative zones as they are, right? And then create another body, right, that will govern the whole, okay? So they will remain autonomous in a way, right, on how they run their daily activities, but they should as a whole have a singular direction with a singular currency, most importantly, right? But that would be a nightmare to some individuals. So of course there were hurdles when it came to the realization of this whole dream, right? And the dream, if you ask me, is still alive, right? it's very much alive, right? Because then if Africa is a single country, then there won't be all of these complaints about accessing of the ports and all of this. They will just simply vanish, right? And it will be us taking control of our land truly, right? Irrespective of borders and whatnot, right? Again, because Africa is vast administrative wise, right? I'm just thinking out loud. So this is happening with little coverage or none. An astute observation. Well, I'm waiting for the punchline in this one. Right? For you who don't know, Mamdani is somehow connected to Uganda. He was born here, apparently. They say it is a mystery, right? The nerve. Eh? Well, Japan, it hasn't even been a month. Well, I know why. This is one side, right? Quite something, huh? How much do we have? And how much are actually doing something? Are they complaining that it's not that they have no spending power, rather everything is cheaper over there? So of course, if you look at their spending, they will not tell you how much they consume, right? There is a disconnect when it reaches, when a country becomes like China, right? There's a disconnect. So the spending will not tell you how much individuals consume. I hope that makes sense, right? Somebody might spend a little money but consume a lot. This is just a reality of China, right? And for them, their survival depends on them exporting whatever they know to create more room for other things, right? Before everything implodes on itself. That's my recommendation. Aggressively to other countries, export, or else you'll drown. But this complaint here is ill-informed, let's say. So these are oppositions from Kenya. They're saying spillage of blood is that's why they run away from their countries. Look at that. Spoken like people who haven't really seen a war. Not even participated in one, but rather seen it. I said, going after the OGs, right? Going after the owls, what will that do? What will that do to the mice population, or even other birds of prey for that matter? And does somebody know what happened to the ostriches that had no disease whatsoever? Or rather, no, they refused to take measurements to find if they're sick or not. They just, you just have to look it up yourself. It's okay. Well, this is another situation, right? So Benin, right? Let me show you. So look at this. We have countries like Niger, Burkina Faso. They are all depending on Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, and Togo and Benin for their needs or their access to the sea, right? In Mali here we have Guinea, right? We have Sierra Leone, we have Liberia, we have Cote d'Ivoire, right? And we have Gambia, Senegal, right? So if you think this is not a conflict waiting to happen, look at here, right? Russia, right? They have their own. Here is quite different, right? Because these were not drawn up as this disaster here. Even though there are countries that still, I'm just saying, the risk of conflict is higher like that. So, yeah, this is happening. Well, your hand and your heart, right? That's what you're doing to me. You're gonna have to talk about it. Look at the efforts they went to steal history, right? Look at the nose job. Yes, that's a nose job right there. Right? That was intentional or deliberate. Defacing, so as they can retell the story. Right? The people who they have as slaves cannot be this great, cannot be their teacher. They cannot live with that reality. So what do? Deface the faces and retell the stories. Yeah, that's gonna end well. They're bold. On top, Bamako exposition, right? That's a big step towards your sovereignty. And of course, below, we have the madness. I hope you're seeing the contrast, right? So, just a theory. I've known for a long time the predator, the sound of the growling of the predator, it is a lion, right? And of course, the history being played by black people, even this new one here. Right? So we have lion, black person, and then we have the father with the white dreadlocks. Maybe I'm stretching, but not really. Yeah. So now they are fabricating information. And like I said, in order for the whole thing to be successful in East Africa, they have to have the backing of the security forces, right? They're gonna try to buy and all of this. So yeah, 2025. These are the pictures that are coming out. Look at that. Somebody should be following this up. I don't know who asked for this, but hey, they did it, right? And he had no ancestry, right? Because there is a genetic code that they identify with, or rather you can trace that genetic signature, which is a Jewish signature, right? So they know that you are Judean, for that matter. I thought it was a belief system, but apparently it's not. And of course, they went on to say he also had the genetic markers of a small PP. Now, I don't know who asked for that again, who asked for all of this. But again, right, they are shaping the narrative, and they think that we are blind, you know. They are dissociating themselves, right? Slowly and meticulously in front of our eyes, right? Oh my goodness. Okay. So you know, right? For the people who think that all of these great nations were just made by people with white, who call themselves rather white, right? Or the Aryan race, or whatever you want to call it. And it's basically theft and unbecoming of civilized peoples, this tendency. But again, here we are, even today. This is demand number 2. I don't know why they had to put a spin on it, that it was an order from the US. I don't know. Who knows anyway these days? It's not like the Syrian people have their own media to express their opinions, right? I also heard this situation. Yeah, it is crazy. But again, capitalism, right? Capitalism, right? They made an investment, and now they want to return on that investment after a breach of contract, right? Fair and square. I also saw this crazy story. I don't even want to say about this. So this guy here, Bob Njagi from Kenya, he says there will be a East African protest on December 9th. And he says we are with our people from Tanzania who are demanding their rights. Right? Well, keep playing with fire. I'm gonna tell you that. In other news, he done figured out where he came from. He got schooled, right? Not only that, but also rock and roll, right? I hope I mentioned the band here, right? The band is called The Witch, and the album is called Introduction, right? Quite influential work that has been, again, stolen. Unfortunately, even black people from the US have also stolen from their mothers. It's unfortunate, right? And especially when they deny their own brilliance, or rather their parents' brilliance. It's unfortunate, right? breakdancing and all of that. That's what we call African tradition. But if you're Indian, then hey. Well, Japan is tied to America in the worst way possible. And the only possible escape being China. So this rivalry here is not really shocking to me in any way. Speaking of Japan, listen to this.
And we noticed that on the screen, you can't use navigation unless you pay a subscription fee for it, right? Which is insane. Like, you can't just hook your phone up and use navigation on your phone. That's free. So we looked at the subscription fees, and it's $15 a month. It's also $15 a month to stream music to the actual screen in your car. Okay, together it's $25 a month. Then I also saw somebody on a forum say it's $8 a month to be able to see your oil level and your tire pressure. The car's like 40 grand. Oh yeah, remote start. You have to literally pay a subscription fee to get remote start. The vehicle is capable of all these things. What the fuck, reality?
So I have a Toyota product. I needed to go to the dealership. They gave me a loaner. With the loaner, she's giving me instructions on how to start the car and all that. Honestly, it just was overwhelming and overstimulating. It wasn't just the regular norm for this 2025 situation. And it had cameras in it. And I don't mean just in it like for your safety. It had cameras to where it's watching you drive to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. So if you touch your phone, the car's going to decelerate, do all this different stuff. And also, if it's tracking other cars, everything around you, so the car automatically decelerates, does this, does that. And that seemed interesting enough. But when I connected a device for the Bluetooth, it kept disconnecting every time I got in the car. And she was stating, oh, that's because it's based on subscription. And when she told me all the things that were a part of said subscription, mind you, the Toyota product that I'm talking about, they're about over $70K for the vehicle I was in. Brand new for what I'm looking at. So you're telling me what I paid for my car, right? My vehicle. And it's on the same with that, and you think I'm going to trade my car in, which still has buttons that I can press for my sensory self and feel and do all the things I need to do, and you think I'm going to trade it in for a car that's literally watching me when we're already in that kind
of... Toyota, good job. Just bring that stuff to Africa and see what happens. You're gonna get replaced so quick, you know. I'm watching the new Huawei car. I seen reviewers who are so jealous. 1,000 kilometers on a charge. What? They just had to. They couldn't even say it with a straight face. Right? So you keep playing capitalist games, and see. I know for a fact this is not a part of the Japanese culture, right? And this is nonsense. Like, seriously, a paywall on everything. Even the Koreans are doing it, right? I saw a Samsung refrigerator, right? In order for you to access your refrigerator remotely, you have to pay a subscription fee, right? Again, this is all about ownership, right? This is all about ownership, right? And the laws in countries surrounding ownership and what it means to be an owner, right? It's not that Apple cannot supply charges on their phones. No, there are no laws forcing Apple to supply charges to their phones. If they were, they would be supplying phones to their charges regardless of their whatever. Right? It's the same thing with this, right? You think that you have bought a fridge, but really you have rented a fridge, right? Because these people have figured out what we call a money glitch, right? A money glitch, right? It's a terminology where a person uses a loophole to basically generate unlimited, right? Unlimited cash, and that's the way they do it, right? Like seriously, you're gonna pay for the fridge until it dies, right? That initial payment was just I don't know, accepting, not even accepting fee. It's like, I don't know, advance, right? It was an advance payment on that Wi-Fi enabled refrigerator, right? We are reaching that point, people have to like decide where they're gonna, it's crazy, they call it Mad Max. It's just the reality of war, these are scenes seen everywhere, right? Even in Niger, in Mali, in Burkina Faso, scenes are seen the same way, couple people with bikes and guns, modern warfare. I don't know what people think it was. I blame the movies and like their references, right? They're all referring to movies. Right? This is nowhere close to Mad Max. I've seen the Mad Max movies and they cannot be compared to what is going on here. I saw this design and you know what came into my mind? They call it a ramjet engine, right? And for you asking what is that, right? That is a picture of a dragonfly larvae, which apparently has the ability to create a jet stream, right? In order to propel itself in case of emergency. And this is the mechanism it uses to create this jet stream. So, Ben Gavir is happy, right? He's out here giving sweets, right? Why? It's because of that, right? Don't know what they expect the other side to do, but hey. Of course, right? It is well known by now that these 3-letter agencies are all working with these companies, especially the producers of these groups here, to make propaganda, like you say, rewriting history or revisionism. That's the reality, brothers. Right? So yeah, this is the madness that we are facing currently. Is it dark stuff? Yes, it is. Yeah. And in this madness, we do our best, right? We are not mind controllers. Right? We do our best to make the best decisions in this madness here. At the end of the day, the Creator is unfolding this whole situation here right in front of us. Right? And maybe we are too deep in it to even see the light at the end of the tunnel, but there is. Right? The world, people understand the world more now, and it's a good thing. Right? They are waking up to the reality, right, of what they have known and what they are actually experiencing, the difference. that means it's time for change, right? That's the sign. That's the sign. That's why we are seeing so much uproar, upheaval even. Right? So we deal with it as it comes for our own benefit, most importantly, right? Because of course, agents of evil never let a crisis go to waste, right? So as they can manage this chaos to their benefit. And of course, we have to work in contrary to theirs. Right? So yeah, we'll keep updating each other as everything unfolds, right? So yeah, let me sign off here. It's easy. Love you and bye.